Hello humans! I want to speak about one of my favorite video game franchises, The Sims. More specifically, The Sims 4, and my total disappointment with it. Just so we're clear, this doesn't mean that I hate everything about the game. There are certain aspects I like, which I'll get into later, but as someone who's been playing The Sims for years, this one is lacking. So despite the fact that I am purely a console gamer, I did actually get this simulation back in 2014 when it first released. I had a laptop back in the day and was so freaking excited to get this game. I loved every other Sims game, so why would this one be any different? Dun dun dun! Before I get into the video, I want to make mention that since I'll be speaking about The Sims 4, it only makes sense that I'll frequently be comparing it to The Sims 3 since it is its predecessor. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't shocked when I first saw The Sims 4. It's pretty different compared to the previous games. I recall thinking, oh, so they're going in a more cartoony version. Between 3 and 4, I know some people are dead set on one or the other, but personally, I like both. I do have an appreciation for Sims 3 graphics though. They were realistic and they carried on that classic Sims vibe. No, I don't think Simulation 3 Sims look like potatoes. Now I want to speak about the original missing content, pools, toddlers, ghosts. I know some people might be rolling their eyes right now, like, Lucy, they already fixed this years ago. You're beating a dead horse. I am very aware that they readied this wrong after the game released, because people complained, might I add. But I had the game at release, so I'm gonna speak about it. They added pools and basements. Awesome sauce. They added toddlers in 2017. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like the fact that we don't get to teach them to walk. We can still teach them to talk and use the potty, but there's no repercussions if we don't. In Sims 3, you had to teach them each skill in order to be able to choose their traits when they age up to children. I like the fact that toddlers can grab food, but why is it so damn hard to feed a toddler in a high chair? It seems like this has been an ongoing issue for years now. Moving on to the ghosties. I like ghosts in Sims 4. Instead of glowing colors depending on how they died, like in Sims 2 and 3, they glow whatever emotion they're feeling. Sims 4 ghosts are pretty similar to Sims 3. They can join households and get jobs. Actually ask the ghosts how they died, and they can appear any time of day. But I'm gonna say it, they weren't in the game from the beginning. I'm not entirely sure why. Could be the game was just rushed and doing the ghost update was a way to tide people over and get everyone excited. Or they were actually gonna make people pay for these aspects of the game. I really don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's a good thing people complained. I like how in Simulation 2, ghosties could actually scare a sim to death. You can't do this in The Sims 3, but if a sim has the cowardly trait, they can faint upon seeing a ghost. In Sims 2, they can kick tombstones and break urns. These aspects were so fun. I just don't understand why they got rid of it. Base Game Simulation 3 had 60 traits, and you could choose 5 right from the start. In Simulation 4, we only get a selection of 38, and we only get to choose 3. Definitely a noticeable reduction. I know we can get a 4th trait based on whichever aspiration we choose, but I like being able to select whichever traits from a full list. It just feels so limited in Sims 4. There were so many interesting traits in Sims 3 as well, like never nude, hydrophobia, frugal. With Mooch, your sim could literally mooch money from other sims. If your sim had commitment issues, they can't propose or be proposed to unless their love bar is at 90%. And unlike Sims 4, your relationship bar would naturally regress. So you would actually have to constantly maintain the relationship. In Sims 4 though, it's so easy for them to get into a relationship and married. They get a negative moodlet, but it's easy to work around. Simulation 4 is pretty easy. Relationships are easy to build and maintain. It's easier to manage your Sim's mood. It's easy to get promoted. Toddler care is mostly easy. Well, when things work anyway. You don't actually have to teach your toddlers anything. If damage is caused by cheating, it's a quick repair. The game is just easy. Cheating was actually a bigger deal in previous games. Like in 3, if a child witnesses their parent with another, their relationship takes damage, and I believe they can also tell the other parent about the infidelity. But in Sims 4, the kids literally don't care. In Simulation 2, Sims could actually kick tombstones and smash urns. Dude, that was literally so cool. It's kind of dark, but like, why did they get rid of that? Gossiping wasn't so surface level like it is in 4. If a townie happens to witness your Sim cheating, they could gossip that info to other Sims, and it could potentially make its way to your Sim's spouse and cause issues. Interactions would actually pertain to like what was happening in the game. For instance, Sims could accuse your Sim of cheating, or your Sim could confess to cheating. In The Sims 4, of course, gossiping just doesn't even do anything. Teens actually used to have a curfew in previous games. If they were caught out past late, they would actually get picked up by police. But in Sims 4, there's no curfew, as you can see in the video. My teenage Sim out past late at the gym, nobody cares. No drama, no repercussions. There's actually no police in the game at all. Between no curfew and no burglars, there's no need. So I actually did some research, and the reason they're no longer in the game is because the burglar music would actually cause some players anxiety, which makes total and perfect sense. Like, it's completely understandable, but it is an aspect of the game that's been in the game since the very beginning, and a part that people actually really enjoyed, and I thought that it created some excitement. They could have just made that an option in the settings to turn off or on. They didn't have to completely get it from the game. So I remember in Simulation 3, when I had a pregnant Sim, every so often she would voluntarily go to the bathroom to throw up in the toilet because, you know, she has morning sickness. In Sims 4, that's just never been the case for me, regardless of what my settings are. Every time I have a pregnant Sim, they would never voluntarily go to the toilet to throw up. I would have to manually select it. However, I did happen to notice The Sims did an update for like pronouns and everything. But I noticed that literally the second after the update, my pregnant Sim would voluntarily bring herself to the bathroom. In all the time that I've been playing The Sims 4 and have pregnant Sims, they would never voluntarily do that, so I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but I definitely did. So back when I used to play 3, I would always bring my pregnant Sim to the bookstore to get a pregnancy book for her to read, because the game would basically register that as me trying, and it would be more likely that I would be able to choose a trait for the baby. In both games, you can choose to have the baby at the hospital or at home. In Sims 3, of course, if you have a home birth, it's seen as more difficult. Again, there's repercussions. You might not be able to choose the traits for your baby. In Sims 4, of course, there is no repercussions. You'll always be able to decide, which again is something that I do not like. Something I really appreciate in The Sims 3 is the fact that if I choose for my Sim to give birth at the hospital, I get to actually travel to the hospital with her. It feels just so much more involved. I get to wait outside in anticipation for the arrival of the newborn. But in Sims 4, of course, it's less exciting if you choose the hospital because they'll literally just mysteriously teleport somewhere, then mysteriously teleport back. It's super uneventful. Also, can we just appreciate how all the Sims outside the hospital in Sims 3 freak out? I think that's really funny. Okay, I will say in Sims 4, you actually do get to go inside the hospital if you buy the Get to Work expansion pack, which again, it makes sense because like you're expanding the gameplay, but in base game, they just completely took the hospital out of the equation altogether. Also, in Sims 3, you actually get to get advice at the hospital, which increases the chance of choosing traits. Also, in Sims 3, if a sim is higher up in the medical field, they can actually tell you what gender the baby is. Again, there is just so much more to The Sims 3. Sims 4 is just so lackluster. There is also no medical field in Sims 4 unless you buy Get to Work. I feel like the medical field should have also just been a part of base game, but that's just my opinion. Okay, in Sims 4, I like that Sims can learn that they are pregnant with the pregnancy tests. Fathers can take paternity leave, and it tells us how long each trimester is. I love the fact that same-sex couples can have biological children. This is a fantastic change to the game, but I don't like the fact that other Sims can only ask the due date and ask to feel the baby, because in 2 and 3, other Sims could talk to the baby and they can listen to the baby. But yeah, so I don't know why this wasn't added to Sims 4. In Simulation 3, pregnant Sims can get a professional massage at a spa. I literally love this option so much. I always liked bringing my Sim, to the spa to get a massage and all of that, because it would help allow me to be able to choose the traits for the baby. But in Sims 4, they don't have that, unless you purchase Spa Day, of course. But it was an option in base game Sims 3, which I really appreciated. Teens were not the same height as adults. Honestly, it's kind of annoying that in Sims 4, they made teenagers and young adults the same height, because I don't want to have to freaking scroll over a Sim to figure out if they're a young adult or a teen. It just seems pretty lazy in my opinion. In previous games, a car would pick up Sims for work and drop them off. A bus would pick up the children and drop them off for school. But in 3, they took it a step further because it was open world. We got cars that we could actually own. And then in 4, they just completely removed that option because Sims just teleport everywhere. Now, I will say that Sims 3 is not as open world on console as it is on PC. It was still kind of an open world in the sense that there were different areas of town that were like their own area, or like different neighborhoods. Obviously, you'd have to load from one area to the next, but like, say, if I was gonna visit the neighbor's house and then go back to my house, I wouldn't have to load. Or if I was gonna go to the community pool and then to the grocery store and then the bookstore, I wouldn't have to load. In Sims 3, you can't see inside a restaurant for a date or whatever, but you can in The Sims 4, which is cooler and more interactive. But every time my Sims have a date somewhere, they always seem to go off and chat with other people, and it makes it really awkward to do romantic interactions in a group chat. Sims 4 added the ability to create whatever skin tone shade you want in 2020, which you would think is a great thing, right? Except for the fact that that was already available to do in Sims 3, so it should have been in the game from the very beginning. But like a lot of things, wasn't, and it took them literally 6 years to implement. That's pretty lame. And last year they implemented likes and dislikes, but again, that was already available to do in Sims 3. I like the fact that they gave us a calendar in Sims 4. It makes it a lot easier to see when people's birthdays are, though it was originally a part of seasons. Actually, let's talk about that. Why in base game do we have the ability to create outfits for cold and hot weather, but those weathers don't exist in base game? I think that weather should just be a part of base game, but again, that's just my opinion. The amount of times that I've literally tried to kill my Sims with a fire is ridiculous. My Sim has no cooking skill, the stove is cheap, and there's a bunch of rugs and objects right next to it. Now, I don't know about you, but I would think that that would be a perfect concoction of fire. After so many failed attempts, I actually got several fires to start. My Sim never caught on fire, and only the stove and the counter were set ablaze. The fire put itself out. They might as well just take firefighters away too, because clearly there's no reason for them. I'm not even gonna get into the whole debacle of expansion packs and stuff packs, because I didn't own very many myself. All I'm gonna say is, what the fuck is this? Between the game being a rushed project from the start and important pieces missing, to essentially having no difficulty other than when things don't work properly, shallow gameplay, no consequences, adding things from Sims 3 way later, and then expecting us to get excited. It's way harder to kill our Sims, leaving out elements that have always been in the game, and opting for a more family-friendly experience. They really showed the hell out of this game. Obviously the game isn't family-friendly, but it seems like they tried to get it as close as they could. It's like normal SpongeBob.
Feeling cooped up in here when the weather outside is so normal.
After what they did to this game, I don't see much hope for Sims 5. This game fucking sucks.